What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a wonderful Monday evening, our second live show of 3 live shows today. I figured today we'd break into the breaking news algorithm. We'd go ahead and hop in line with the Dylan Raiola the Carson Beck takes when the Carson Beck news broke. So a lot of you probably already listened to our live reactions from the Carson Beck news. He will be returning for his 4th year at the University of Georgia, his senior year, technically redshirt junior year as a starting quarterback, 2nd year as the named starter entering the season. We obviously have more reactions off of that news today. But that news wasn't sitting on the timeline longer than probably, 10 or 15 minutes, Jay Will?
Yeah.
Before ultimately the new news hit, which is Dylan Raiola flipping and committing to Nebraska. And I want to preface, because we're going to play Agent Brooks here today. We're going to put on the agent hat like my man's for the New York Giants agent. Have you seen my man's Captain Italian?
Yeah.
He is nuts. We're going to put on that agent hat right quick and play a little game of Agent Brooks, because I love to do it every once in a while. When I see a blatant mismanagement in public relations, which I think is what we had today, and a long lineage of public relations, I'm not going to call them nightmares. Let's call them mishaps from the Dylan Raiola camp today. We're going to play a little Agent Brooks. But I want to preface Agent Brooks with this statement. I personally do not have confirmation or reasons to believe that Dylan Raiola is a competition dodger. I don't believe that to be true. That being said, there is some overwhelming evidence that my timeline likes to throw in front of me. And if I were to be his agent, if I were to be the person that is in charge of controlling the narrative around this young man, we probably would have handled things a little bit differently today. Like, I don't know, letting the Carson Beck returning news sit for a little bit before we announce our decommitment, which by all means, everybody knew was kind of wrapped up bow on the present. That being said, there were still even last-minute communications with Georgia in the Raiola camp dating as, back to yesterday. Okay, so this news today was still news today. So why are we dropping it today? Because, again, if I'm going to play his fake agent, I'm going to let you know there is a narrative about this, right? There is a narrative about, quote-unquote, this guy likes to dodge competition. And this all could have been avoided, or at least another notch on this proverbial belt could have been avoided today by just letting this news sit for 24 hours or 36 hours, or hell, even better yet, letting this joker build all the way up until National Signing Day, because why not? You'd be the only guy on National Signing Day with any type of juice around your name, again, if I was playing your fake agent, okay? Which I know for a fact this kid's got representation, and they're smart people. They should be. They should be selected by smart people who understand this business, like his father, right? Played 12 years in the league, got good representation. You would imagine he would have good advice around this stuff, like I'm about to feed you, okay? There was obvious reporting and obvious signs that this recruitment in Raiola avoided the Arch Manning recruitment from get-go, right? From get-go, there was no link to a possibility of if you land Arch, you have a chance to get Raiola. They had to be separate. That was rule number 1, okay? Or bullet point we heard, this guy avoiding competition. That was the very first little nugget we heard. The next one that a lot of people are going to run with now is he avoided the Ryan Puglisi competition. Everyone's going to try to run with that one. All right, so you got to avoid that one too. All right, he pushed out Kyle McCord at Nebraska. That's a narrative that this camp has to defy. All right, or at least has to answer for, or even if they don't, the public narrative is forcing it upon them. He got linked to Nebraska. All of a sudden, the quarterback that was linked to Nebraska no longer going there. A little fishy, right, with the timing of that situation as well. And now today we get Carson's coming back. 10 minutes later, this kid declares that he is flipping to Nebraska. Again, I do not believe in this narrative of this kid is avoiding competition, but all of these bullet points are hard to defy if your job is to control the narrative around a young man, which is exactly what the case is right here. You got a 17-year-old kid who's extremely talented, is very, very good, going to have success in the world of college football. But man, that's not even the worst thing with regards to his public relations nightmare of today, okay? Because this, and I'm not going to allow us to crap on a 17-year-old, but this right here, this is public relations no-no. This is why would you ever let that happen? Why not just tweet out an edit that you had Hayes Fawcett make for you? Why are we tweeting out poems? Because poems are going to leave us getting flamed in the mentions of everything. Again, the timing of this is all your control. You can decide when and where you want to do this, all right? And how you go about doing this is all in your control. In the realm of college dreams, where purposes take flight, enter Dylan Raiola, crafting his narrative in the night. Once lured by Georgia, where powerhouse glory gleamed, yet Nebraska's purpose in his heart brightly beamed. In the scarlet and cream, where legacies entwine, Dylan, like Rodgers, Rozier, and Crouch, a hero in the line. No longer a cog in some powerhouse machine, but a quarterback with an even grander ambition unseen. So fellow fans await with hope in the air for Dylan to choose his purpose to declare. In a weekend's decision, destiny calls to fulfill his purpose where a new destiny enthralls. Not like that, bro. Not like that. We can't be doing it like that. But hey, here's one thing I will give credit for, because I think it's important to note this. This recruitment, say what you want about all the agents involved, say what you want about the handlers involved, say what you want about uncle playing a role in this, say what you want about mom, dad, whatever. All right, whatever, move in all over the place, say what you want. This kid very obviously had a role in all of this. We watched that highlight film the other day. It was very obvious he made that sucker. Like all of this has writings and clippings of a 17-year-old on it. And for that being said, all the control that gets thrown on all these high talented kids, this kid obviously played a major role in his own decision. So I want to give some kudos to that. But that right there, probably wouldn't have let that one out. What's up, Jay Will? Welcome in.
Nothing much, man. Yeah, kudos to you for being creative, doing it a different way, I guess. That kind of feels like that's kind of been the route that he's taken with his recruitment. It's a little different than most number one quarterbacks, handling business a little bit differently. And no shots there, but just the timing of everything, how it unfolded. Like, early National Signing Day is 2 days away. Like, I kind of figured that. I think most people assume that's when the decision would be made and that's when it'd be announced. And then to do it in a poem, which if he wrote that himself, dang, bro, maybe you got a career in literacy, but I don't know, man. Just interesting all around.
I think this was ChatGPT give me a college commitment that sounds like a Christmas song.
You can put that through like a AI thing and see how many percentage points it is for an AI.
For an AI?
Yeah.
I had to do this for a competitor one time for plagiarism. Might have to check for ChatGPT plagiarism. It came back 87%, by the way.
Eesh.
Yeah, straight theft. Anyways, back to this discussion. I do question, again, agency hat. I do question the timing. Like, come on, man. We can do some things to avoid the additional criticism that you're ultimately going to open yourself up to, which is unwarranted. Which, again, that's the whole job. And for people saying that maybe he's not represented, I'm going to tell you right now, you were at the Elite 11, Evan. I know you're off camera here. Man's had multiple representation not groups, but people. All right. Whether it was somebody handing him a bottle of water that he was endorsing openly, whether it was waiting for cameras to start rolling before he could put the special logo towel on him, whatever it was, every single portion of his recruitment from a personal perspective, like being in person and watching it, it seemed very controlled to me. Very, very calculated. Every step of this really, really kind of arc that looked like this, it seems somehow calculated the whole time. So this looked to me like, whoever approves these things just allowed this one through, which is fine. Again, commit how you want. But I told you guys before the show, I would imagine the upperclassmen at Nebraska will have multiple copies of that printed out. Mm-hmm. Multiple copies of that printed out, and probably put around the locker room just as like a, hey, welcome to this team. We're going to troll you relentlessly for your poem.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole timing around over the last week or so with his commitment, his recruitment process has been a little interesting. Like this last weekend, you're seeing pictures of Ryan Puglisi on campus at the University of Georgia now, and he's getting rolled in. And then I don't know if it's later that day or before that, but you see clips of Dylan Raiola at a volleyball game, I think it was, or something like that at Nebraska.
Wrestling match, I think.
Yeah, wrestling match. That's what it was. So like the timing in general of things like when they're released and whatnot, and how this has gone about the business and things, very interesting to me. Very unique, I should say.
I do want to get it on the record. The kid's going to be good. Like, he's going to go to Nebraska, and he's going to be good. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be great? I don't know. I think that's the delineation between all these quarterbacks. That's why NFL GMs either make $100 million in their career or their career is not very long, right? Because you either hit on these things or you don't. And it's very much so a coin flip. But from a college perspective point or a production standpoint, I think he's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, I think even though we had some questions about his highlight tape.
Where are the rippers? Yeah. Where are the seeds, baby? That's
exactly.
all.
Like, you could clearly see very good at throwing the football, extremely talented, good head above his shoulders. He processed the information really well. It was just, there felt like an aspect of the game was missing. Of course, that'll be answered when he gets to Nebraska because you're going to have to see that on the football field at the college level. So yeah, questions, but also no questions in regards to how talented he is.
Yep. And again, all the question marks from us come from he's not an A+ athlete. Okay, but I don't know if that'll ever get developed. But then again, like Pat Mahomes, I wouldn't classify as an A+ athlete. He's an A-. Okay, maybe a B+ in terms of an NFL athlete. And will you rip a football? And again, man, it sounds like so silly to be sitting here talking about a guy who's like this talented with his arm to be questioning whether or not he's going to turn on one and absolutely, throw a piss missile. Like, we got to see those things. We eliminate a lot of the tree when we don't do those things.